Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here, and this week I'm flying solo. And I wanted to talk to you guys about how to get your mortgage mojo back. And what I mean by that is a lot of people right now aren't feeling super confident in the industry. You can kind of see it in different conversations we're having and in different messaging posts and things like that, that people are feeling a little bit down on themselves in the industry as a whole. And that has an impact on your performance. Okay. If you look at like top performing athletes, professional salespeople, anytime you're not in that groove or your mojo is off, it impacts your sales, it impacts your performance, how you feel about yourself and your business as a whole. So today I'm going to talk about a few strategies I have to get that mojo back and fall back in love with your mortgage business. So, first things first, I think it's really important to do a simple reframe. So, remind yourself why you got in the industry and what things looked like before you were here. So for myself, I did this last week. I had a few really challenging files and challenging clients, and I was getting a little bit frustrated and irritated with the mortgage space. And I was kind of like cursing things. And I'm like, you know what? I got to just reset my perspective. So I gave my buddy who owns a farm a call, and I went over there and visited him. And he was just talking about like he had done 16-hour days the whole week, had like intense rainfall, wash out a bunch of his crops. He had challenges with wholesale customers and different clients and things like that. And he was just talking about kind of the challenges in his business. And it kind of reframed things for me. And it reminded me that, you know what, the couple of shitty phone calls I had to do, the few clients that might have ticked me off that day, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And it was a lesser of the two evils. If I wanted to go back to my old life before, I would have had other problems and other difficulties there. No matter which direction you choose in life, it's going to be hard. So you pick your hard, you stick to it. And that reframe allowed me to go back to my desk, sit down, hammer out the things I need to get done, and move on with my day. And I was able to, go and take the weekend off from there. Whereas I know he has to keep grinding and living the path that he chose. So reminding yourself of what things look like before, all of a sudden things that appear hard or difficult now aren't that bad. Going back to the why is like why you chose this industry, why you chose to pursue something that you knew was going to have challenges of having to drum up all your own sales, you're 100% commission based. There's going to be times where that has an element of stress. And I think if you go back to your origin, you'll see, okay, there was a reason why I chose this. I know that there's no cap on what I can eventually do in this industry, and I can provide a fantastic life for my family. Yes, there's going to be difficult times, but it's all possible if I just stick to the plan and stay consistent with things. The next big point here is to change your tribe. There's a quote attributed to the motivational speaker and author Jim Rohn that you are the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. So if you're hanging out with people who are really overweight, it's a high chance that you're going to be overweight. If you're hanging out with people who are always doing activities, you're going to do more activities. If you're hanging out with people who are always complaining and whining, you are going to complain and whine more. People looking for problems will find problems. And similarly, people looking for creative solutions will find creative solutions, and those seeking those opportunities will find them. And I think there's a really widespread complaining problem in the industry right now. I touched on it in the intro there that on the topic boards and everything, people are complaining about the disparity between rates and product offerings that some of our lending partners have in branch versus what we have as brokers. They're complaining about being undercut by competitors in the space. They're complaining about education requirements for certain people that aren't as stringent as what we have to do. And it's just this chronic complaining and focusing on the negative. And then you have other people who are coming out with strategies like Matt Imhoff there showing how to use prepayment privileges. You have the cascade strategy that Jason Henneberry's been highlighting. There's a lot of people showing different ways to focus on the opportunities we have and the advantages we have. And they're focused on the positive energy. And I think a lot of what's going on and what's impacting people is who you're listening to. If you tune into the news all the time and it's all negative, you're going to feel a little bit more negative. If you ignore that and you just focus on good stories you hear, you're going to have a more positive outlook on life. And I think a big focus that a lot of us need to do is just recognize that yes, things aren't as easy as they were a year ago, but that doesn't mean there's not opportunities for us. And we need to focus more on finding those opportunities and changing the tribe of who we surround ourselves with. There's this great experiment, it's called like the red car theory or something like that, where if I asked you how many red cars you saw today, you would be able to maybe say one or two. But if I said, okay, count every red car you see, you would see them everywhere. And it's just draws back to looking for opportunities, looking for things that can work in your favor. If you're focused on just finding the problems, you can find lots of problems. But if you start focusing on what's my advantage, how can I compete, and start reframing and thinking that way, you're going to find so many different ways that you can get back in the ring and you can pull off some wins here. So if you're not in an environment or a network surrounded by people who are focused on the positive and looking for those ways to succeed, change your environment. Sometimes it means just not jumping on that call with team members who are a little bit negative right now. Or maybe it means finding some new partners who are more engaged in the positive side of the industry. Whatever it might be. Changing that environment, though, can have a huge impact on your mindset and your outlook and really improve your business overall. Next one is simple. It goes to kind of changing things. It's change your scenery. If you're in your office and you've kind of been in a rut for a bit, maybe try a fresh coat of paint, change up the artwork, put up some like motivational poster or whatever it is you might do. One thing I love to do is just take my calls outside, go for a walk, do some of my realtor calls. Sometimes, like right now, I'm working from the cottage, hang out at the cottage, just get out of your normal routine and your normal space that sometimes your mind just kind of grooves and sinks into a bad pattern. By changing your habitat, you can break that pattern of thinking and allow your mind to look for some more creative, optimistic solutions. Sometimes resetting our location can completely reset our mind. Finally, get out of your office and go to some events. I always feel re inspired and re energized by going to some mortgage events, whether it's just having a few pints with different brokers who are positive and uplifting, like I just mentioned, or going to like something like the Strategy Hub event was a ton of fun. Going to a different conference, getting a few ideas that way. This can be a really lonely industry. And sometimes if you're in your own head too much, you can start to get into a negative frame of thinking and just put yourself into a funk. Whereas when you go and you meet with people, even just going to like chat to a lunch and learn with a lender, they'll show you a different way that you could apply some of their tools. And maybe you take it home and you apply that to a file you're working on. And it just kind of re inspires you and gets the creative juices flowing again for you. And getting that step away from your computer, away from the screen, and talking face to people will have a positive impact and really bring some energy back into your business. On the topic of events, save the date for October 16th. We are going to do our Tango Ontario launch party. It's going to be hosted in Burlington, most likely. If you're interested in coming out, we would be happy to have you. We're going to have some good food, some cocktails. A bunch of us will be there from the brokerage and some lending partners and other industry peers. So if you're looking for an opportunity to come out and meet some people and just have a fun night, shoot us a DM on Instagram and we'll share some more details with you as the time approaches. Okay, so recap, really it's all about change when it comes to getting your mojo back. Changing who you listen to, changing what you're focused on, changing your environment. All of that is going to get you back into this spirit of feeling like you can crush things. And I love a comeback story. I love when you see an athlete who was a top goal scorer, maybe they have a bad year and then they bounce back and they're like, how did you come out of it? And it's always comes back to mindset. What you're focused on and what you're working towards all clicks and comes together. And sometimes it takes time. So be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to have bad days and not have it bleed into the next one. Allow yourself to feel a loss of losing a file and not ruin your whole day that you can't work on anything else. So give yourself some grace to feel some of these things. Obviously, we're human and some of this is hard to deal with. But at the end of the day, come back and reattack the day, reattack the files, and get your mojo back. Because you and I both know when we're feeling fully confident in this industry, it's like you're on top of the world and you're constantly closing files, you're winning over clients, and it feels really good and it's a ton of fun. So we all want to get back there. And I hope you can find your mojo and fall in love with your mortgage business again. Cheers.